Hey guys, this is Market Update. I just want to give you a 6-month outlook here and just show you Bitcoin's trend and what I'm doing. Look, I think some policy details have come out recently which are pretty good for risk assets, especially Bitcoin. They've gone under the radar because of this price action. So look, a 35% drawdown shakes everyone out. Everyone that was in it for the wrong reasons or didn't know why they were in it or anything else or wanted to trade short term, you just shake everyone out. You reset everything. We're not in a bear market, right? The Fed's cutting interest rates in December. They're saying that now. They didn't want to. They tried to play tough. Market called their bluff. They're going to cut interest rates in December. They're also ending QT. This is not bearish, right? They're trying to get more dovish. They're trying to support inflation, support the market. So just wait for it to happen. You have to be patient. They made a series of massive errors. Jerome Powell is a really bad Fed chair. He just doesn't get it, right? Doesn't get the fact that markets aren't going to go down because all indexes basically index the top 10 companies who are rate insensitive. And they're crushing the rest of the economy. What's the point of that? Anyway, they're cutting interest rates in December. He'll be gone spring next year. And then the new Fed chair, is just going to be completely different. He's going to have a completely different outlook and he's going to be supportive of markets. He's a Trump pick, right? We're not going into a bearish period. The Fed isn't increasing in rates. They're decreasing rates. They're trying to support the market. So Bitcoin's volatile. And this 100K level has caught everyone out because all of the data is now irrelevant in the past. Because we've gone sideways for over a year, right? We've gone down versus dollars, S&P, NASDAQ, and gold. So it's like a mini bear market. What it really is just 100K, 6-digit Bitcoin was the level where everyone that's ever been involved in Bitcoin said, I'll take some off the table. And so that's what we're in. And so you just have to get through that. But we are not in a macro bear market and we're going into an easier position for the Fed. So why would you be bearish here? If you do trade crypto anyway, get your deposit bonus on Bybit. You can trade on there. By the link in the description, you can get a deposit bonus when you deposit anything all the way up to $30,000. In terms of Bitcoin's trend and my strategy, buy Bitcoin when I can, spot Bitcoin, or if you want the ETFs or whatever, just tuck it away for retirement, at least a 10-year view. I think by 2035, what I've done is extended the 200-week moving average by 40%, 30%, 25% ARR. So as Bitcoin matures, its annual rate of return is going to just draw down a little bit. But by 2035, I think the 200-week moving average here, if it carries on at these growth rates and then just tails off a little bit, 500,000. But the price is often above that by anything like 50 to 80, 100%, something like that. So you'd be looking at $1 million Bitcoin. Maybe we'll touch that by the mid-2030s. I think we could obviously be very volatile in the price, over those 10 years, right? But if you've got a 10-year view, 25% ARR, $1 million a coin at some point, right? So that's what I think. Bitcoin is going to remain desirable. It's world money. Central banks are starting to tip their toes into it. So, right. And then the dollar is going to debase against it at 7 to 10% a year. And you've got obviously some growth rate of the asset over time as well. So the green dots, I think, are going to be fairly reliable. And that's about as accurate as I can be. In terms of short-term prices and trading, I just want to buy Bitcoin and sell dollars. I mean, that's the longest standing trade in all of human history, right? It's to sell the debt to buy the asset, right? That's what property developers will tell you. You take debt, you short the debt, you buy the asset. It's the oldest trade in the book. That's what I want to do as well. So I don't know what's going to happen to the price or where it's going to go, but within reason, it does come under trend a little bit during massive bear markets. In the previous bear market, you had the Fed raising interest rates at the fastest pace ever, from 0 to 5%, and the whole industry blowing up. And we just came under the 200-week. Right, so is that happening again? No, the Fed's actually cutting interest rates and stopping QT now. They're actually trying to support markets. But in any case, we're only at trend. We're not even overbought. So what we're going to come down to trend. So you've got maybe a 35, 40% like worst case scenario here. And then if we carry on, well, if we get overbought, you're looking at somewhere in this red box at like 180, something like that. I think it's a good trade setup here actually, right? And everyone just gets so confused. We've had this 100K distribution. We're still not through it. It's the level by which the whole entire thing has to rotate because anyone that ever wanted to sell is going to be selling 100K, 6-digit Bitcoin. Once they're clear, then you can carry on. But even if you don't, I don't know what's going to happen to the price. I don't know if we're going to go down. I don't know if we're going to go sideways or up. It doesn't matter because you have to know what the volatility is in your trade. So if you're buying here, the potential downside is down to like mid-40s, like worst case, I think. The upside, best case, is into this box, 150, 200, maybe best case, over the next 6 months, 12 months, something like that. That'd be a big move for Bitcoin though, right? Because the volatility is coming down, right? So maybe we don't get crazy overbought like we did in previous bull markets. And that's fine by me. If I'm going to short dollars and buy Bitcoin, there's no time limit on that, right? No time limit. You just have to make sure you know what the price can do. So the price can fall 50%, yes. And it can also go up 100, 150%, yes. I don't know what's going to happen, but my trades can take advantage of all that. So if we come down, you can buy some more because you're actually underneath the trend. And if you're underneath the trend or at trend, then you just buy it and accumulate it and wait and wait and wait. And if you can wait, eventually at some point, it might get above trend and then you can sell. But why would you sell for things at trend? You wouldn't sell for things at trend. You buy it when it's at trend, right? You're trying to short dollars and buy the asset and wait. And then as you wait, just the natural path of debasing dollars versus a strong asset is going to play out. So that's it. I don't know what's going to happen to the price, but I know what the potential moves can be. Down 50%, up 100%, 150% from here. So I can just make my bets here. I'm not going to buy this because that would be overbought. That'd be crazy to buy short-term trades or shorting dollars here, buying Bitcoin with it. That'd be crazy to buy up here. It's not crazy to buy here, in my opinion. We're basically at trend. So if we're at trend, then that's a good risk reward. If you're above trend, you don't buy and you sell. It's as simple as that. And if we get here, I'll sell. If we don't, I'll just keep with the trade and wait. The US is still running deficit, so of course they are, right? You can't cancel money. The government is short currency, and the more they tax, the less currency there is to pay for the existing outlays and future outlays. This is the whole point of it. What they need to reset things is a massive money printing event where you increase the money supply significantly so that you can just basically take that paper and inflate away the costs that you have. And you can't do that all in one go. So that's why we just go round and round in these cycles over and over again. I've just been doing this so long, it's just the same cycle over and over and over again. And it never changes, and everyone gets so worked up about it. Dollars debase themselves. There's not enough dollars to pay for the liabilities. You have to print the dollars. Who's going to print the dollars? Well, since 2008, it's been the central bank, a very centralizing force. That's not been good for society. It's not been good for politics and everything else. Centralization is not good, right? If you're in Bitcoin, you know that. So you need decentralization. So what's going to happen? There's a huge deficit here. Deficit in what? It's a deficit in currency. There needs to be some currency printed, right? So that prices go up, so they inflate prices, so they can draw more currency. Because if you tax the money and you don't print more money, then you reduce the money supply and you cause deflation and everything. So you can't do that. You need money printing, right? The only question is who's going to print the money? Is it going to be centrally controlled from the Fed, which gets extremely political, or are you going to just distribute it amongst banks? So US budget deficit in October. Look, you can sort out that deficit if you want by printing money, but if you print money, then your bonds sell off, and then so it's just this constant kind of, you have to move it in this very slow way, otherwise, you get all these collapses and everything in the financial markets. But it's just the same thing over and over. Everyone gets so worked up. Oh, there's going to be a huge recession. There's going to be this and that. The reality, it's just going to bumble on in this range the whole time, and you have to, don't miss the forest for the trees, right? You have to just take a step back and say, the only way is to print paper against assets, which means assets are going to go up. Who's going to print the money though? Is it the Fed? Is it the centralizing force? Or do they want to re-decentralize money printing? Well, the Republicans in the US currently in power want to decentralize it. US regulators relax key bank capital rule tied to treasuries. They're trying to decentralize money printing and put it back to the banks. They're trying to re-lever the banks. One of the reasons for that is that the market knows what the Fed's game is. And everything that the Fed does, the market knows it's money printing through the back door. And so what they're trying to do, it's like a cartoon, right? Where you're on a boat and it's got a hole in. And so the cartoon character puts his finger in the hole, right? And then another hole emerges with the water coming out. So he puts his toe in that hole. And then the third one comes out and he puts his nose in it. And right, that's the financial system. And what you do is you just move around, you move the bucket around, right? And you kind of kick the can here. Everyone realizes what you're doing. So you kick it there and you do something else. This has been going on the whole time I've been in markets. It just goes, it's a merry-go-round. But the reality is, right, whether the banks do it or the central bank does it, right, you have to have more currency in circulation because you can't pay for this on the right-hand side without currency, without the paper. You need more paper. And that means Bitcoin's going to go up, valued in that paper. So that's the long-term trade. And it's also the short-term trade as well. Don't get, puffed out of positions here. We're in the world's strongest asset versus something that has to be printed. Not just in the US, in the UK, and everywhere else as well, right? So we're in the proper asset here, not paper. And it's just so clear. Every central bank, you can see what's happening, right? Rates are going higher, money printing, potential yield curve control at some point in the future. Look, it doesn't matter, okay? Strongest asset in the world is Bitcoin. Sell your dollars for it. Keep your assets there. Right? Keep your value in BTC, because you certainly can't keep it in the fiat currency. Over the coming years, I think we'll have to focus way more on the treasury side of things. So banking rules and regulations and what the treasury is doing and the rules that they're setting for the market versus the Fed. The Fed's going to be massively important still, of course. It's the printer of last resort and they control interest rates. But what happened after 2008 was they just wanted to bankrupt all the banks and just have 5 too big to fail banks with the Fed in the middle, and they printed all the money. The Trump admin wants to re-decentralize that and encourage commercial bank lending, and they want to increase the leverage in the banking sector. So my statement on the final rule on leverage ratio capital relief, right? So the leverage ratio is versus the assets that you have, how much can you lend out and how much leverage can you take as a bank, and they want to increase this. So they want money printing coming from commercial banks and not just the Fed and the 5 too big to fail banks. And so that's going to happen. I think this is coming in January 1st. I think it's April, but January 1st, banks can start to get ready for it. So the game always is who's going to print the money. And the Trump admin want to put that towards more commercial banks rather than just the Fed, obviously, because the Fed's money printing is the worst type of money printing, right? It's just pure inflation. It's pure fake. It's not going towards anything important, right? At least central banks loan out money because they take risk on business ideas, and the Fed's just not doing that. It's just money printing. It's created absolutely awful outcomes for everyone over the last 20 years, right? Or 15 years. We can see that. The problem with the Fed as well is it's the boat with too many holes, and the Fed doesn't have any fingers or toes left to plug the holes. And everyone that uses the Fed, there's an issue with this, right? So the problem is institutions are reluctant to use the standing repo facility. Execs say they are worried about stigma. The banking system is fundamentally, not a solid system, right? It's a debt-based system where you constantly need new debt. So the game is constantly who's going to print the money. And so, the banking system wants to get levered up again. That's what the Treasury is going to do, and it's going to encourage that. So a lot of the money printing may not come from the Fed over the next few years. It may come just from the fiscal side, the Treasury side, the banking side. So we have to make sure we're aware of that, because if the Fed isn't printing money, but markets are getting strong, you'll know what's happening under the surface, right? In any case, we've got a new Fed chair coming in. This is the favorite here. He is talking about rate cuts. The FFR will get to R*. I think you're looking at 2% on the rate instead of the current almost 4%. It's coming down anyway, but they want to get this way lower. I don't think that's going to have a massive effect in terms of inflation, to be honest. Inflation is 2.5%, 3%. It's in the range, right? You have to just get over this, what we had over the last few years. They printed trillions of dollars. Of course, you're going to get inflation. That's not happening now. So you want the banks to create the money. The banks are going to be creating money, loaning it into existence, into businesses who are creating more goods and services. So that could be actually non-inflationary growth. You'll still get some inflation, but it won't be like 10%. If the central bank just prints money and nothing gets built on the other side, you get inflation. If the commercial banks are lending money into existence so that businesses can produce more goods and services, you get an offset in the price of goods versus that. Now, eventually, because the free market deflates prices and you have debt with an interest, eventually you'll get another fiat currency crash, because it's a debt-based system that needs more money, but we can worry about that in maybe a decade or so, right? So rate cuts, QT stopped, balance sheet replenishment, Fed no longer politically motivated. They are politically motivated, and they will continue to be. But a new Fed chair, and he's going to be, much more, in line with the Trump admin's policies, which, to be honest, are pro-markets and pro-inflation and pro-price growth, and weak dollar, which is all good for Bitcoin. You need a weak dollar. Trump has said this. Weak dollar, you earn more money because your exports become more competitive, etc. Prices go up. So that's what they want, and you're going to have everyone on side at the spring of next year. And then into the midterms, I'm sure they're just going to try and pump markets as well to try and get some votes. Look, are we going to get pullbacks, 20, 30% along the way? Yeah, of course. But the Trump admin is telling you, right, we need to pump things, right? The AI bubble, AI-related investment accounts for half of GDP growth. A reversal would risk recession. We can't afford to go backwards. They want to pump it. They know that AI is massive, and it's basically without AI, you're looking at a recession in prices, which you can't have because then you can't pay the bills. So they're aware of this, and they're saying We need to make sure we keep pumping the markets. We keep pumping GDP. We keep, not just with interest rates, but with policy and pushing these hyperscalers who are contributing to all this GDP growth. We need to keep pushing them more and more and more to keep increasing the amount of investment so GDP grows. Why are you bearish? Fed's cutting interest rates, stopping QT, and the government is telling you they're trying to pump markets and just make sure that this all keeps going. They control everything. They want things to keep going. Why are you bearish? I'm not bearish. If you trade Bitcoin and crypto, check out the Bybit deposit bonus in the description below. If you want to get the crypto investor course as well, 300 videos on how to set up your investment portfolio, you can ask me questions in the Discord server as well. I'll leave that linked down in the description. I'm James, it's MoneyZG. Cheers for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.